What if humans are not just observers of quantum phenomena, but quantum entities themselves? If humans are akin to quantum particles, reality itself might be a dynamic field of interactions rather than a fixed objective structure. Just as a quantum particle's properties, like position and momentum, are defined only in relation to its surroundings, human experience might be a product of interactions with the field of the universe. Humans could perceive the world because their sensory systems and consciousness interpret energy transitions, patterns, and interactions around them. If reality depends on interactions, it raises profound questions. Is there a core truth to the universe, or is reality just a web of relative experiences? This interpretation aligns with quantum mechanics, where observation shapes outcomes. Without interactions, a quantum particle exists only as a probability wave. For humans, this could mean reality isn't a static thing but a continuously evolving interaction, a grand symphony where existence, beauty, and meaning arise from participation rather than isolation.
Quantum particles, such as electrons or photons, are probabilistic entities, described by wave functions that encode all possible states they can occupy. These wave functions do not represent physical reality until the particle interacts with its environment or is observed. If humans are analogous to quantum particles, our existence could similarly be probabilistic, shaped by dynamic interactions rather than fixed attributes. Neuroscience suggests that our sense of self emerges through external stimuli and relationships, much like how quantum particles derive their properties from their interactions. Additionally, studies in psychology highlight the fluidity of human identity, influenced by social, cultural, and environmental contexts. Example: in the famous quantum double-slit experiment, particles exhibit wave-like behavior until measured, collapsing into a particle-like state. Similarly, human potential may remain fluid until shaped by choices and circumstances. Imagine a musical note that exists as a potential vibration until struck on a piano key. Humans might be akin to this potential note, existing as possibilities until action or interaction defines them. Quantum field theory posits that particles are excitations of fields that permeate the universe, such as the electromagnetic field or the Higgs field. These fields are not confined to specific locations but exist everywhere, and particles are localized ripples in these fields. This challenges the notion of individuality, suggesting that all entities, including humans, may be interconnected parts of a larger field. Furthermore, the concept of emergent properties in complex systems supports the idea that individuality arises from the interplay of simpler components. In biology, this is seen in the collective behavior of cells forming tissues or ecosystems functioning as unified wholes. Example: the Higgs field gives mass to particles through interaction, much as social and environmental factors give mass or substance to human identity and behavior. Analogy: picture a vast ocean where waves appear distinct but are ultimately part of the same body of water. Humans might similarly be localized expressions of a universal field. In quantum mechanics, the wave function represents all possible states of a system, collapsing into a definite state upon measurement. This observer effect implies that reality is not predetermined but shaped by observation. Studies in cognitive neuroscience echo this concept, showing that perception alters how the brain processes and organizes information, effectively creating individual realities. On a quantum level, the act of observing or measuring forces the system into a specific outcome, highlighting the active role of the observer in shaping reality. Example: in quantum physics, observing a particle's position eliminates knowledge of its momentum, a principle known as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Similarly, focusing on one aspect of reality, e.g. work, can obscure others, e.g. personal relationships, reflecting how observation prioritizes certain outcomes. Analogy: observation is like choosing a camera filter. Each filter alters the image, shaping how reality is perceived without changing the underlying scene. Relational quantum mechanics suggests that properties like position, momentum, and energy are not intrinsic, but exist only in relation to other systems. This idea is mirrored in sociology and systems theory, where individuals are seen as nodes in a web of relationships, their roles and identities defined through interactions. Neuroscience further supports this, demonstrating how neural networks reorganize in response to environmental stimuli, showing that even consciousness is shaped relationally. The dynamic interplay of genetic, social, and environmental factors reflects this relational perspective on a human level. Example: the social phenomenon of mirroring, where individuals subconsciously imitate each other's body language or speech patterns, exemplifies how interactions define behavior and identity. Analogy: reality as a spider's web. Its structure depends entirely on the connections between its strands. Humans, too, derive meaning and identity through their interconnections. Quantum entanglement links particles in such a way that their states remain correlated regardless of the distance between them. This phenomenon challenges classical concepts of locality and causality. On a human level, entanglement could metaphorically describe shared emotions, cultural trends, or global phenomena, where distant individuals or groups influence each other through shared experiences or information. Studies in social psychology, such as collective behavior in crowds, show how individual actions synchronize into coherent patterns, much like quantum systems align through entanglement. Example: the phenomenon of collective intelligence in ant colonies or human groups, where individual actions create a coordinated whole, mirrors quantum entanglement in shared decision-making. Analogy: entanglement is like tuning forks vibrating in harmony. Striking one can cause the other to vibrate at the same frequency, even if separated. Quantum systems exist in superpositions, embodying multiple states simultaneously until measured. If humans are quantum-like, our futures might also exist as overlapping probabilities, with choices and interactions collapsing these into specific outcomes. This concept aligns with theories of decision-making in psychology, where potential actions are weighed until one is selected, shaping the trajectory of an individual's life. Additionally, this perspective resonates with the multiverse hypothesis, where each decision spawns parallel realities representing unrealized possibilities. Example: a student deciding between career paths embodies multiple potential futures, scientist, artist, entrepreneur, until a decision collapses these possibilities into one realized trajectory. Analogy: think of a book with branching storylines. Each choice leads to a different narrative, but only one becomes the read story. Quantum systems often produce patterns, such as interference fringes in the double-slit experiment, arising from the interaction of probabilities. Human experiences of beauty and meaning might similarly arise from recognizing patterns in the environment. Neuroscience shows that the brain is wired to detect symmetry, harmony, and balance, explaining why these elements are universally associated with beauty. Furthermore, evolutionary biology suggests that humans find patterns appealing because they signal order and predictability in a chaotic world. Example: the golden ratio observed in nature, art, and architecture exemplifies how humans perceive beauty in patterns that align with natural laws. Analogy: beauty is like music. Individual notes may seem disjointed, but when arranged in harmonious patterns, they create a deeply resonant experience. Quantum mechanics challenges the idea of objective reality. The Copenhagen interpretation suggests that reality is observer-dependent, while the many worlds hypothesis posits that all possibilities exist simultaneously in parallel universes. On a human scale, this mirrors philosophical debates about subjective versus objective truth. Cognitive science supports the idea that perception is shaped by individual experiences, suggesting that each person constructs their own version of reality. This raises the question: is there a single truth, or is reality inherently pluralistic and contextual? Example: optical illusions demonstrate how perception varies from person to person, challenging the notion of a singular fixed reality. Analogy: reality is like a kaleidoscope. Each turn reveals a new pattern, but no single view represents the true image. If reality emerges from interactions, humans might not just observe, but actively shape the universe. Wheeler's participatory universe suggests that conscious beings influence the very fabric of the cosmos. This concept finds parallels in neuroscience and sociology, where collective human actions shape cultural, ecological, and even planetary realities. Emerging fields like quantum cognition explore how decision-making processes resemble quantum systems, emphasizing the role of probability and choice in shaping outcomes. Example, the Anthropocene epoch, defined by humanity's impact on Earth's ecosystems, exemplifies how collective actions reshape planetary systems. Analogy: life is like a collaborative art project. Each participant adds their unique contribution, collectively creating a masterpiece that no single artist could achieve alone.